Last weekend, I got to do my very first HEMA tournament. I've never done any competitive fencing before. I've only done club fencing, so this was a really interesting challenge for me. I didn't really do any tournament prep going into this. I just decided I want to do it, picked the first tournament on the roster, and drove 16 hours to Ohio. I didn't know anything about the school, the people that were there, or the event at all, but I just wanted to try it out. And I was really lucky because everybody was extremely nice there. It was interesting because this is actually a really good Rapier school, and Rapier and Dagger is not my specialty. I'm better with single Rapier than Rapier and Dagger, but I still had a whole lot of fun. And I was competing against some really, really skilled people, so it was a great learning experience. The tournament rules were interesting. I hadn't ever had to deal with a rule set before. I kind of just fence and talk it out with my partner, but obviously there were judges and scoring, and there was scoring criteria. So the tournament rules were that you get 2 points for thrust to the face or head, and 2 points for the body, 1 point for thrust to the arms or legs.
Best passe ever. 2 points red.
But there are no points awarded for cuts except for to the head, which was a little bit different, well, a lot different than the way I normally fenced. Kind of threw me off a little bit because I really like cuts, and I like feint cuts, and I like being tricky, but this kind of made it so I only could use one cutting move, and that was my feint cut to the head. So it limited me a little bit, but it was a challenge to try and work on my thrust game. I'll be honest, I didn't do the best job at tournament psychology for this. I didn't prep correctly. I didn't have stuff in place to help me be in a good mind space. I mean, everybody there was friendly, and I wasn't like upset, but I was really nervous. My first tournament, I drove 16 hours the night before to do it. I drove another 2 hours into town, and I didn't know anybody there. I was really intimidated, and it took me a couple matches before I started to loosen up. I actually started doing my best fencing after the tournament was over. We were all free fencing afterwards. So next time I've definitely got to get a routine in place so that I can get in the right mindset when I go to these things.
All 2 points blue. That's about. Fight.
There were some incredible fencers there. This man in particular, he was amazing. He ended up taking third place. He's very fast. He's very good with his weapons, and I was completely overmatched. But it was fun getting to fence against somebody who was that much better than me, and it's given me some things that I know I need to work on.
Thrust to the arm. It looked like a flat cut to me.
It was a thrust to the arms from red.
Okay.
I didn't know if blue
Great.
was sufficient.
This was the only match I had where I just felt like I did not stand a chance. He was just on top of me the whole time. I got one lucky cut in. I guess it wasn't totally luck. I did make the cut. But, yeah, he just dominated this match in a way that didn't happen in any other fight. So it was still a rewarding match, fencing against someone that good. But it was definitely the lowest score I got out of all my matches. He was a very patient fencer. He had a great measure of distance. You can see him just popping that point in right there. He was perfectly in distance, and he knew it. I stayed back as much as I could. Usually I'll go in a little bit more, but I did not trust getting into distance with him because he could just get me. His sword was just there, and then I was skewered. There's my one little cut. I rolled around into the head. I felt fairly confident in my parry riposte game. I feel like I did a good enough job at that. I need to work more on my thrust game. So that's a big thing for me.
And fight.
And here he is again, just utterly controlling the distance. I move in and I'm already skewered.
2 points red.
2 points red. Match red.
This fight was interesting. Both of us did like cutting, but because we only had one target, it was kind of frustrating. We could only go to the head. I actually started to annoy the referees after a while, I'm pretty sure. They didn't ever say it, but like I kept on calling hits on myself. Like I would feel something and say, I think I got hit, and they'd be like, no, that doesn't count. Like, don't worry about it. I definitely probably overcalled on myself. But I'd rather do that than undercall. I want to be the guy who's honest. And the club was really cool about it. They all were really good about that too.
Tape on your tip. Yeah, that went flying off.
Okay. Yeah, full time. Fight. Fight. Oh. Okay. You see it as a cut? Oh, thrust to the arm.
For my
To me, it went through the arm into the body, but
It went through the arm on this side.
on that side. Okay, so we'll call thrust to the body. 1 point. Or sorry, thrust to the arm. 1 point. English also fight.
My opponent didn't hear that we had already started, so we had to reset that bout.
Yeah, I said fight. Yep. And fight. Oh.
Press the hand before you got in the head.
Okay, I didn't see that. I just see the final action of the cut to the head. Okay, so I'll award that. Let's work on calibration, though. Those cuts are from both of you are coming big and wide. Okay?
So I found out that tournaments have, and certain directors have their own sensibilities of how they want the action to be seen, and you do need to, you know, play to that. So my cut and thrust rapier wasn't as, I don't know about the club, but in this specific tournament it wasn't what they were looking for. So just gotta accept what the director says and try and do your best to accommodate that.
Yeah, then I.
This was probably my longest match, and I don't exactly know why. I think some of the comments kind of shook me a bit, and then also it was fencing against somebody who wanted to cut, against me who wanted to cut, and not being able to cut just made it kind of go on for a while. You can see us both trying to change our tactics to a more thrust-heavy style and kind of probing and searching and trying to adapt on the go. It kind of made this match drag on longer. I was going to cut this match up, but I wanted to show all the footage unedited. Any cuts that are in this footage are made in camera by the person who was filming it. I didn't cut anything because I wanted to show you everything. I realize this is a bit of a longer video, but I hope you guys still find it interesting. I don't know if it's because I fence longsword or what it is, but none of the attacks that happened here hurt or felt bad or felt intense. I don't know if it just looked worse than it was, or if there's a certain level of intensity that, like, it differs from Rapier and Dagger to longsword. Like, there's an expected level of intensity in a longsword fight that there isn't in a Rapier fight, and so the judges are gonna watch that. My guess is it boils down to my inexperience on the tournament scene. As I do more events, I'm going to understand better what the event is looking for, what the directors are looking for, and kind of what's expected from each weapon.
Final exchange. Point.
Oh. Okay. 2 points blue. 2 points blue.
Point blue. Match blue.
This fight was really fun. This was a very good fencer. Oh, his tip got caught in my dagger and pulled out. It was kind of funny, so we reset for that. Anyway, this was a really fun bout. This was the guy who owns the club, and he's a really good fencer, and I had gotten into my stride and really kind of started to feel like I knew what people were looking for and what I was expected to kind of fence like. And so I started to try and use my athleticism to my advantage and really work on my long point work and trying to get in, do stuff. I throw a couple of cuts, but I slow them down to try and make it what people are looking for. And I really think that I did a good job on point work in this bout, more than I did in any other. I think this was the best match that I had. I felt the best about this match.
Oh. Okay. 2 points red.
2 points red.
Fight. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I see the thrust from blue. I don't see red. So I'm gonna say 2 points blue.
2 points blue.
Fight.
I was really proud of myself for this match for being able to pull off some quick point work. I did a little bit of deceptive point work, but mostly I was just relying on just really pure speed and getting in there before my opponent could get at me.
I'm obscured. You're saying you don't can. Okay, I can award it. Fight. Oh. You thrust to the body. Okay. Then 2 points red.
I felt something too.
Huh?
I know I got thrust in here, but I don't know if it was before. Well, it wasn't before my hit. It would have been either at the same time or after, but apparently nobody else saw it. I tried to say something about it, but I don't know. I still feel like I did well. That still bugs me a little bit, that one maybe point.
Now, Justin Moore in red.
Ready? Table ready?
This match was fun because this fencer has a really unorthodox fencing style, and they're also a very nice person. They actually watch the channel, hi! And they were so nice to me, and I just love that they have these big, long, beautiful lunges, and they're kind of flamboyant when they do their thing, and they're really good. I kind of knew going into this, I wasn't telling myself in the moment, but I knew going into this when I wasn't gonna win this bout, because I had seen him fence a bunch of other people and just wreck them. And so my thought was I was going to go for speed and getting in there with long point work just like he did. I knew I'd probably double some, but I thought it was my best bet because I didn't have the skill to be able to parry his blade coming in before he could get me.
Fight.
Sorry, 1 second, please.
Oh, hold. Pause. Yeah. Okay. Resume. And fight. Oh.
They also, more than anybody else, had great active dagger. They got me a couple of different times with their dagger in this bout, and it was just like, not that no one else was doing it, but the people I fought, they weren't using their dagger as actively as he was, and I'm gonna try and do that more often. I don't do Rapier and Dagger that often, but if I do again, because he would close distance with the lunge. He had a great lunge to get in there, and then he was up in your space, so if he got the opportunity, he'd just stab you with the dagger. He was also incredibly assertive in closing distance. He'd get right up in your space. I don't think that I can pull that off yet. I think that if I did that, I would get jammed up and probably, not do well. But he was able to do that and then have his dagger up in your space too, so he also was protected. So really fun opponent. I got a couple. Like that one right there. I was proud of that one. I tried to kind of do what he was doing, and I got it once, and then he proceeded to wreck me after that. Not that he wasn't already. There you go. Yeah, I think he stabbed me in the leg first and then in the neck. No, I didn't get the leg, but he got me again with a dagger. So, really good fencer.
Oh yeah, the dagger thrust. Yes, that's what you're calling it, thrust to the face. Okay, 2 points blue.
2 points blue.
That's right.
This was the first round of eliminations, and the groove that I had gotten into immediately evaporated, and I was all of a sudden super nervous again, because I knew if I I knew if I lost, I was out of the tournament, and that was where I stopped, which wasn't the worst, but I wanted to do well. So there was a lot of pressure on this bout, more than any of my other ones. I ended up calling on myself a lot, which, I don't know, I'd rather do that than not call, but I was just nervous overall. I was going back to my habits from the first bout that I had, kind of forgetting the lessons that I had learned in the other ones. There was a break between the bouts that meant that I kind of I sat down and kind of lost my stride, which was kind of bad for me, and, you know, not prepping and not having the right mindset and nerves. I still feel like I fenced well in this bout. It was close. I think he got a thrust that put him 1/7, which ended it, but I think I was at 5. It was a close bout. I was 5 or 4. I don't remember the score, but he won decisively, but I feel like I was still a decent opponent. He didn't breeze through me. He didn't walk over me. It was a good, clean fight, and I felt good about it. I do get knocked out at this point. I don't make it past first elimination, and that's about what I expected as soon as I figured out how they were doing the tournament. I thought I'd probably be out in first elimination, which is a problem. I need to have a better mindset. I need to do that tournament psychology, and I'm working on it. I've got some people I'm working with now that's going to help me prep for the next tournament, so it's going to be better. But still, even losing this tournament, well, not losing, even getting knocked out in the first elimination rounds, I still had a ton of fun, and I'm so happy I got to go and meet all of these people. I didn't really understand the way that tournaments are ranked and stuff. I know on HEMA scorecard, I now have a rating. It looks like I was about middle of the pack, like dead center in pools, and then I got out of my first elimination. I don't exactly know what that means for my score, but middle of the pack at a school that's really good at Rapier, I'm pretty happy about that.